An alleged scam victim has told how he was caught out by fraudsters. Police have arrested 3 Gold Coasters over their alleged involvement in an investment scam that ripped off nearly 70 people.
Bernard Venables is no bunny. 10 years in the online trading game and he's never been scammed. That was until October last year. He claims investment company Westrade pursued him with phone calls, a website and guarantee forms, all appearing legitimate.
Well, I mean, they weren't making outrageous claims about, making you a millionaire overnight or something, or show, profit return potentials.
Over the first 6 months, he couldn't withdraw anything. He just watched his money grow, or so he thought. On December 11, he was stung.
You see, log in one day and, the page does not exist, and so you try the phone numbers that you have. And
days later, the fraud squad shut down a number of call centres strewn across the region. Today, a woman and 2 men from Currumbin Waters were charged with money laundering, accused of scamming 64 people out of a total of $1.5 million. Jenna Hudson, NBN News.
Another low-cost airline has touched down in our city, promising big things. Scoot made its first flight into Coolangatta this morning, with the carrier spruiking flights to Singapore for less than $170. But is the time right for a no-frills service?
It's been billed as the shining light for tourism on the Gold Coast, a dirt-cheap way to scoot to and from Singapore.
Welcome to the inaugural Scoot Airlines flight to the Gold Coast.
And while Scoot's first landing at Coolangatta was delayed 45 minutes, its 400-plus passengers were far from worried.
Okay, thank you.
The Singapore Airlines-owned carrier will fly 5 times a week in and out of the coast.
A figure of around 65 million is going to be coming into our economy as a result of this deal. And that is good for our jobs, it's good for small business, and it's great for the Gold Coast.
But there are worries about the demand for low-cost carriers into Asia. In 2007, AirAsia X launched with similar fanfare. But as passenger numbers dried up, 2 flights from Kuala Lumpur to Coolangatta were axed. They launched with $99 fares to KL. Today, you won't get much change from $250. Just last April, 23% of seats on international flights in and out of Coolangatta were left vacant. And while Scoot's cheap flights seem enticing now, the question is, when the bargains dry up, will people still fly?
I think that the market that they're feeding into, being based in Singapore, it'll be very easy for people to come in from Malaysia and Thailand and, of course, China. Unless they really get it wrong, I can't see that they'll do poorly financially.
Chris O'Keefe, NBN News.
Big seas are taking a toll on our coastline. Beaches are still closed as the surf eats away at the dunes.
With surfers doing the vanishing act under massive waves and boards snapping in too, it was no surprise lifeguards decided to close the beaches.
Well, it's just such a strong sweep and a strong swell, a lot of water moving to the north as well, and we're just asking people to be patient and stay out of the water.
Most took their advice, tourists staying well clear of the 2.5 to 3 metre swell.
They're huge, way bigger than Hobart.
We haven't actually got into the water yet, and it's too dangerous, I think. Yeah, we have got our bathers though, just in case, in the car.
It's great to see, isn't it? Nature at work. Really fantastic.
But sticking to the footpath in this case wasn't the safe option for one surfer. Council's warning the sand dunes aren't hazard-free either.
They're asking any beachgoers, including locals and tourists, to make sure that when they're walking along the beach to be very careful.
Scarping can be seen stretching along the coast, with Burleigh, Miami and Narrowneck the worst affected beaches.
The officers have been out checking the beaches every day and putting signage up and also cleaning any debris up around the beaches.
The waves are set to shrink back over the next few days, but there's no guarantees the beaches will be open tomorrow.
It is starting to drop for sure, but I think, we'll look at it again tomorrow morning and hopefully open maybe tomorrow or Friday.
Karianne Greenbank, NBN News.
Gold Coast residents have welcomed new measures which could give council the power to shut down party houses. But there are concerns the legislation won't protect those in holiday rentals who are doing the right thing.
For residents living next to Gold Coast party houses, it's like living in a nightmare.
It is still very very scary and very, very noisy.
They get drunk, they yell it constantly.
But this mayhem and mischief could all soon be a thing of the past. After years of confusion over who's responsible for shutting down party houses, the state government and council finally appear to have struck a deal.
We intend to give Mayor Tom Tate and the council the ability to manage this issue because it's rightfully theirs to manage.
In giving us more power, it will be the City Council that regulate this.
Welcome news for fed-up neighbours.
They have no place in the residential area.
But not everyone is as positive. Holiday rental businesses say it could spell disaster for those doing the right thing.
We just want to make sure that the legislation allows our industry to continue because it is a big part of tourism on the Gold Coast.
But just what the legislation changes mean for council is still not yet known. The full details won't be released until a review of the Local Government Act is finalised later in the year. For residents, it's well worth the extra wait.
I do believe the problem will be resolved in the very near future.